Hello, welcome to Quilting Color. Today is day 31 of the 15 Minutes to Quilt Challenge. It's the last day. Today I'm going to be working on my Elephant Parade quilt. The Elephant Parade quilt was a quilt that was presented by So Fresh Quilts on her blog. I have all the blocks done for this quilt, so it's a matter of sashing them, putting them together into a quilt. I hope you sew along with me. Let's see how much work I can get done on this in 15 minutes. Okay, so let's take a look at the blocks. This quilt was started as a sew-along with Lorna Mahon of So Fresh Quilts. She had a beautiful quilt pattern that's all pieced, but you still get a beautiful design out of this that you do not have to applique. Although I did add an applique eye to this one. This one has elephants. I pressed this one for the introductory video, but I don't have very much time today, so I didn't press the rest of them yet. But let me show you the rest of the blocks. So there's a gray one. There's two gray ones. And besides the adult elephants, there are also baby elephants. Another lighter gray one, adult ones. And then I got the bright idea that I could add other things to the quilt besides what was in the pattern. And so then I started adding other ones. These are not in order of when I made them, but I have here a couple people to join the parade, because all parades need some kind of music, right? And then we have somebody here to just wave to everybody, because you have to have somebody waving. And you have a twirler dancing around with the music, because it's a good music. And then we have more baby elephants, and then I also have other animals that I added. So here's a zebra to go with the other elephants. Oops. All of my additional animals and people are made improv style to go with the very easy to piece pattern that Lorna had. This is one of Lorna's designs. This is one of Lorna's designs as well. This one's mine. This one's mine. This one's mine. This one's Lorna's. This one's Lorna's. This one's Lorna's. This one's mine. And this one is mine. So I've already gone ahead and chosen a layout. That was a hard part about making this quilt, is just choosing a layout. So we can just go ahead and follow this layout that I had. Continue on just making the sashing today. So one thing that I had thought about, normally when you make a sashing, is that you take the size of the block, add the sashing that attaches the rows together, and then add a sashing at the top to separate the rows from each other. But the idea that I had, sometimes bright ideas sometimes cause more problems than they help, is that instead of adding the sashing last, for some blocks at least, I could go ahead and make the block the size that it would be with the sashing, so that sometimes some of the part of the animal would be inside the sashing. So instead of making the block the right size and then adding sashing, I could make the block the size it would be with the sashing. If that makes any sense at all. And then add the strips that join them together after that. And you can see here, these are made like that, the way that the traditional way, where you would make the animals, each of the blocks the same way, and then add the sashing. There's already a little sashing strip to make this block the right size to match the adult elephant, but now it's going to get another sashing strip to add to make it to separate the row from each other. And if I would have just gone ahead and added the extra 1.5 inches here, then I wouldn't need to add 2 sashings. I could have just done it with 1. And so for the animals that I'm making here, I went ahead and made the block big enough that I wouldn't need to add yet another sashing strip. So now I've already chosen the layout for this quilt. So what I want to do is to just make a row. I don't think I'll have time to make more than 1 row, and just figure out how much sashing to add to the pieces so that they will all fit in 1 row. Okay, since we've been looking at this block, we can go ahead and make the row for this block. I'm not going to take the time to lay out this quilt again. The layout that I chose was fine, and so we'll just go ahead and continue on with that one. There's really no wrong way, I think, to arrange these animals. So this is the row that I have here. There's 2 elephants next to each other. There's this animal, I think it's a cougar, I can't remember for sure. And then there's a bird. And then there's the bigger elephant. They're all facing to the right. And I think this one will be a pretty good one to show you, because it shows you how to make the blocks, put the blocks together both ways. So there's already 1 sashing here. So for this one, it'll just be an easy matter of attaching these 2 sashings to each other and then adding a sashing at the top to make it the right height. For this one, this is probably already the right height. I might have to trim it down a little bit to make it fit. There'll be a sashing strip here to separate these 2 animals from each other. And then for this one, these 2 will be the same as the other for the baby elephants, is that there'll be a sashing strip between these 2, and then there'll be a sashing at the top for the row. So I think that should be pretty easy to do. I don't know how long the row has to be, so I did kind of want to leave the sashing variable so that I could use a sashing bigger or smaller, make the animals farther or closer to each other so that they would fit. But I think if I use this one as a template, I should be okay with, once I make this row, I'll know exactly the size that I want all the rest of the rows to be. So let's just start with the baby elephant. Since they've already been started, it's just a matter of sewing these 2 down. I need to trim this one because it's not straight. The elephant's trunk is going to be trimmed off a little bit, but I think it'll be fine. I didn't sew this one correctly, but I'm not worried about it. If I had done it correctly, the trunk would have lined up better. Okay. And then I have a sashing strip. Okay, so the elephant is now cut to size. I just need to sew these 2 together to each other. And then once I have that done, I can measure the sashing strip to see what size it should be, and then sew them together. That'll make sure that the blocks stay even and level. The sashing will provide a stabilization to the animals. Okay, for the other 2 animals here, I can do the same thing. I need a sashing strip. I can just use this one to join the 2 animals together. This one looks like it could use a little trimming, so I'll trim that one also. Oops. Okay. Nope, they're not the same size. This one I made a little bit bigger than it needed to be. So I'm going to make these the same size. This is, that's weird, 16 1/4. So I'm fine with just cutting this one at 16 1/4. It's not 16 1/4. This ruler is a left-handed ruler. So now these are both the same size. Yep. And then I'll just cut a sashing strip at that same size. And I can just put this between these two. Okay. And then this one, maybe the sashing is going to have to be bigger than the 1 inch. So this, I think this block has already been straightened out here. Yeah, this is straight. I thought this part was also straight. I think it is. It would be. Okay. This part is definitely not straight. Let's make this one first. So this one, I kind of like this height to make enough space for between the tail and the rows of animals above it. So since this is straight, I can just cut this to even this out. And then the final row, the final cut will be here to straighten this last bit out. And since this one is more than the size we're anticipating for the other animals, the sashing strip that goes on top of them is going to have to be bigger to accommodate for this extra space. Or the other option is to take the tail and just move it higher up into the other row, so that if I keep the animals far enough apart from each other, it could just be tucked under. Like if I had an animal here, it could just be on top of the elephant. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and sew these other pieces together since we already have them planned, and then we can decide what to do about the cougar after that. When we could also worry about that when I put the rows together. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the sewing machine and sew these pieces together. So you can see that the sashing has been sewn to the little baby elephants, and the sashing has been sewn between the elephant, the adult elephant, and the bird. Oh, there's my timer, which is just as well. I forgot to take this upstairs to press it, so it looks even more wrinkled in comparison to the others now. But my plan right now is to just make the sashing the same size, to make the elephants, to make these two animals blocks the same size, as the same length as this one. So I'll just add a sashing about this size to make all of them line up properly. This video is one of a series where I worked on each of my works in progress to see how much work I could get done on them. 15 minutes. Every day I just worked on each of my quilts, so you got a chance to see what kind of quilts I make and how much work I can get done in 15 minutes. If you missed any of the videos, be sure to follow the links either on this page or on my home page so that you can make sure you caught all of them. I hope you had a chance to sew along with me today, and if you did, just leave a comment and let me know what you worked on today and how much you got done in your 15 minutes, and I'll give you an entry in the drawing. I'm going to draw 2 winners tomorrow morning, so be sure to catch tomorrow's video so you can see if you won. Thank you for all of your support throughout this challenge. It really helped encourage me to make more progress on all of my old quilts. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you tomorrow for the drawing.